All right. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Let's see. Maybe kick the rest of that volume up. Try to speak up as well. Let me point this at myself just a little bit better. All right. Good afternoon. How's it going? Jeff over in the Discord, as well as DJ Devin. How's it going? Good afternoon to you. Looks like that's who we've got so far. Afternoon or evening, yep, depending on where you're at. Yeah, good point. Definitely afternoon for me, but got folks tuning in from all over the world sometimes. So, Beata, how's it going? Quick Mash over on YouTube as well. I don't know if you're still around. I'm not sure exactly when this message came up on YouTube. I think it's been there a minute, but good day to you if you're still here. Thanks for hanging out. If so. So let's do a bit of an introduction before anything else. So, hello everyone. My name is Tim. I go by Foamy on GitHub and Discord. This is the Deep Dive live stream, which is a weekly live stream program. Typically, it is Scott, the lead developer of CircuitPython, who does this stream. That's who was here last week. If you happen to tune into this stream, you would have seen Scott. I'm here this week. He's out. He'll be out today, and I believe next week as well. So I am with you tonight, and I think I'll be back next week also. And then I don't know for sure, but potentially he'll take back over the week after that. If you are brand new, though, and you don't know the deal with what this stream is about, it is typically about CircuitPython. When Scott does it, he's the lead developer inside the core, so the deep dive name really came from him diving deep into the C code that is the CircuitPython core and really working on cutting edge, brand new features and things like that. I don't tend to work quite as low level as Scott. I'm not sure that really anybody necessarily does. So sometimes when I'm on this stream, we'll work on libraries or projects. We do occasionally venture into the core, although the kind of stuff that I do in the core is, pretty shallow depth, so to speak, if we're going to continue with the diving analogy. The kind of stuff that I get into in the core is not nearly as in the weeds, so to speak, as what Scott does. So we tend to stick a little bit higher level. In particular, this week we'll be working on updating some Learn Guide project codes for the newest of the DisplayIO APIs, but that's getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let me wrap up on the intro. If you are new and you want to learn more, circuitpython.org. This is the main website for the CircuitPython project. If you don't know anything, about CircuitPython, if you have no prior experience, then I'll let you know CircuitPython is a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. There's a bunch of pictures of these microcontroller devices over here on the downloads page. Basically, all these devices can run CircuitPython. When you plug them into your computer, typically via a USB cable, they'll show up like a thumb drive, and you can edit the code on that thumb drive. And then there's Python code inside of there, and that Python code can interact with other hardware peripherals that are connected to that microcontroller. So lots of them have these little, pads along the sides here, these little pin holes. Those are typically called I/O pins, input-output pins. Your Python code can interact with those pins and whatever other little electronic doodad happens to be connected to them. That's kind of the 50,000 foot view of what we're doing. And then in particular, what I'll be working with today is the DisplayIO APIs, which is one of the APIs in the core that allows you to draw onto displays, typically connected via the SPI bus or like a parallel connection. There's a few other ways they can be connected, but DisplayIO allows you to drive these different displays and to put different images and text and things onto that display to see. So we'll be working with the DisplayIO API today. CircuitPython is an open source project. Anybody's allowed to use it. Anybody's allowed to put it on their own hardware. You can even, if you are a hardware manufacturer, you can even port CircuitPython to your hardware. That's free of charge. You don't have to do that. You can get it listed right on circuitpython.org on the downloads page right here. You don't have to pay anyone to do that. So it is like fully open source and free project. The developers who work on the project, though, are paid by Adafruit to do so. This is their website, adafruit.com. So they're the ones keeping the lights on, so to speak, for the CircuitPython project. They're paying the team who works on the project full time. There's a couple folks on the team like me who work on the project part time and are paid by Adafruit to do so. That encompasses things like this live stream, as well as the work we do in the code, PRs, reviews, updating projects, making learn guides, all kinds of different stuff. Different folks do different parts of it. But thank you, of course, to Adafruit for making it possible. And if you want to help support the project, one of the ways you can do that is just head over to Adafruit.com and purchase hardware from them. They sell microcontrollers, like all those devices that we saw on the downloads page. Many of them are Adafruit hardware, but not all. But they also sell the different peripherals, the things you can plug into your microcontroller, hook up to do other stuff with. Let me catch up on the chat here, which will require a little bit of window juggling. There we go. Let me see here. Let me catch up. How's it going, Retired Wizard? David, we'll go with no e-voting, though. I think you probably are trying to bring attention to that. So how's it going, no e-voting? Of course, Friday's Deep Dive 1 hour earlier for you. Did you have a clock change? Did we have a clock change? I am terrible with the clocks. I don't know. I don't think we had a clock change yet where I'm at, but I also don't know. And it might be coming up on the weekend. We tend to do them, I think, on the weekends usually, but I'm the worst person to know. Still go deep compared to how deep I can go with code and example scripts. For me, you're still deep diving. Yeah, that's true. We're still getting pretty far down there, especially compared to some of the other higher level projects and things. This is the stream I need, how to update your code for 9x, especially DisplayIO. Some things have changed. It's not clear why. I'm interested in a device with a compiled in display, but also those where you can define yourself an external display. November 5th is the time change. Thank you. So that is coming up this weekend. Yeah, Sunday for us. Sunday, and I think we usually do them in the morning or something. We had clock change earlier than you as usual. I gotcha. Yeah, we shifted a couple of years back. We shifted like it by a few weeks or something, and I've been lost honestly since then. So even before then, honestly, yeah, that was definitely what was on my mind. Need to figure out how to change my name in Discord as I'm known with that nickname somewhere else. I gotcha. I found the Discord name change one day, but I do not remember exactly how. It was somewhere in the Discord settings, but yeah, I do remember seeing that one day. Okay, so DisplayIO, the main change the first change, I guess, the first change. There's probably two main changes at this point, but the first one was basically getting rid of the show function and instead having a property called root group, and you would set root group equals to whatever group you want to show. Let me pull up an example of that real quick. Dash display, that should get us there. Dash display. GitHub. Although those are kind of cool too. Those, I guess, for car dashes. Also maybe Adafruit and CircuitPython even. Nope, there we go. Okay, that was enough. So let's see. There's also, let me say, huge hug report to Retired Wizard. First of all, I saw Retired Wizard up in the chat earlier. Huge hug report for Retired Wizard and Paul Cutler, who both have done a lot of these updates across libraries in the last few days. Very, very, very much appreciated to both of you. This right here is what we're doing. I'll be in the Learn Guide code, but I'll be basically making the same sorts of changes. So this was the first one of the major changes for DisplayIO. You would used to call display.show, and then you would pass it a group. Or in this case, it's actually passing it none, but a group is down here. You can do none to blank the display out, but ordinarily you would pass it whatever group you want to show. In the new version, it's .root group equals. It's a property, so you're no longer calling a function. Now you are setting the group onto the property of root group. So pretty straightforward. Just got to swap swap over to root group, equals, get rid of the show, get rid of the parentheses, and pretty much everything else stays the same. So that's the first one of the major changes. And then the other one, the second one, which is newer and more recently, that would be the splitting up of DisplayIO. So Scott did some work, I think either maybe even this week or last week, really recently, was the splitting up code. Splitting up DisplayIO so that things like 4-wire are no longer in DisplayIO, they're in their own module. ePaper display, same thing, that's in its own module. I think there's another one too, maybe display bus, I2C display. There's a few of them. I could be misremembering. I could have them wrong. That change I am less familiar with. This one here, the show to the root group, I'm super familiar with this one because I actually made the change in the core. The splitting of DisplayIO, I've seen a little bit about it. I'm aware of what's going on, but I'm not quite as familiar. So that's where we're at. I am going to be in the Learn Guide code. I'm going to be focused mostly on the show and the root group thing. If we happen to see the 4-wire or the ePaper display or the I2C display as we're going through this stuff, I may swap that over as well. But my primary intention, I think, is more so to do that kind of in a secondary sweep after this stuff is done, because there's going to be way fewer projects that use, I think, those other things, those 4-wire, those e-ink displays, those I2C displays. There's going to be fewer projects using those than there are just calling show, because this, show, this is like every DisplayIO project essentially had to do this, which means every one of them needs to change. While we're changing it, we'll also be looking in the Learn system to find pages that need to be updated, because some of the code lives in Learn as well if it's not pulled from GitHub. So we're noting those down to know that we need to check them out as well. Let me catch up on the chat one more time, and then we will get this show on the road. User settings, profile, display name. Nice. Yeah, thanks for that, Jeff. Appreciate it. Paul Cutler doing lots of PRs. Getting a hug for PRs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, huge thanks to both retired Wizard and Paul Cutler for all the work on that stuff. Possible Qualia RGB666 displays get their own library. I think they will for sure. Yeah, it'll just be depend on when somebody's got time to do it. I think maybe Melissa mentioned working on it. I don't remember for sure. I know we discussed it during the meeting. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I think I remember that. If not, I can tell you, if it doesn't get made, eventually I'll probably work on it too, because I'm definitely a sucker for displays and DisplayIO. I do not have those displays yet, though. I don't have any of the Qualias. They do look super nice, so I got my eye on them. I'll probably be picking one up. I assume that splitting them will make it more efficient for each display type. It depends on how you mean efficient. It will make it. It will make the overall build smaller. So if you, it will make it so there's more things that can be turned off. So in the smallest builds, your option used to be enable DisplayIO or disable DisplayIO. But now your new option will be, enable e-ink displays, enable I2C displays, enable SPI displays, or disable each of those. So it's compartmentalized it better so that there are more things that can be enabled and disabled, which ultimately gives you more control, especially on those smallest of builds. You're then able to kind of turn off more things. But you could potentially still use, maybe you're going to use an I2C display, but nothing else. You could include that one, and then you could include the base DisplayIO in order to have groups and bitmaps and stuff like that. You'd be able to save a little bit of space. So as far as I understand, it's not more efficient in terms of RAM and speed or anything like that, but the amount of space in the build and the added flexibility of those additional kind of knobs and levers to be able to enable and disable stuff at build time. That's my understanding of it, by the way, which I could certainly be wrong. Scott would be the one who's got the for sure answer on that. I had a plan to do SSD 1306 because I contributed the 64 by 32 OLED, but then I saw Paul was doing them all. Lucky because I burned my display. It was one so small that it fit in a. Man, I just bungled that hardcore. Okay, it was the one so small that it fit in a Lego brick. Wow, that is super tiny. How's it going? Quick math. Hi, quick. Oh, not math. Mash. How's it going? Quick mash. I think I probably called you quick math earlier as well, so apologies for that. Melissa said she'd take it on. RGB666 from the Weeds brought it up. Yep. Doesn't e-ink take a long time to update? It depends on the device. Some of them certainly do. Yeah, some of them take a while to refresh the screen. I think it's separate, the physical display, the graphics, and the logical display. Those builds where 2K makes a huge difference. Yeah, that's the thing, is the smallest of the builds, we're at the point where, yeah, any little bit you can carve out really does help on some of those. So splitting up DisplayIO gives us that flexibility. So I've got the list, at least as of a couple of weeks back, maybe probably 2 or 3 weeks ago when I first sat down and started this. I grepped up this list of all the usages of show. We left off here, milk checker. That was the last one we did, which is right there. That one should be done. I'm still in the same branch, so we're gonna pick up on rock, paper, scissors. And I'm going to open the last one also so that I can just copy this. Oops. Yeah, I guess we don't want the dot. I'm trying to get the exact right part here to make this as painless as possible in terms of the copy pasting that I do. We'll also say find.show. I'd have some more of those. Yep, there's one right there, in fact. We could maybe even get away with the replace here with the dot. We'll have to be careful because there are potentially there's like pixels.show, like NeoPixel has a show function as well. We don't want to be replacing those, so we're gonna have to make sure that we don't find any that are the wrong kind, but so far that looks good. That is interesting. Yeah, see, I'll try to avoid my instinct to make any other changes while I'm going through these. I will say though, you can set this to null, not null, but none, instead of an empty group in order to get a blank screen, and I think that's better because then you're not creating a group. This group is getting created and taking up memory, but if you just use none here, I think it has the same effect. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to get into changing too much other stuff because I also don't intend to run every single one of these. So I don't want to be changing a whole lot of code and then accidentally breaking stuff without realizing it. Scissors simple. So there's a rock, paper, scissors simple and an advanced. Okay. And we need to check learn. Stay on target, yeah. On my 3264 matrix display, it has matrix portal M4. DisplayIO won't work on it even though it has on the device and it's in the folder. DisplayIO should work fine on the matrix portal M4. To the best of my knowledge, that should work fine. So if you are getting like a specific error or anything like that, I'd say maybe the help with channel, if you put any kind of error that you're receiving or the code that you're trying, if it's not giving you an error but it's just not showing anything on the display, put the code you're trying over in the help with channel, and somebody will be able to help you over there eventually. But to the best of my knowledge, Matrix Portal M4, it should definitely support DisplayIO. Now you need to initialize the matrix display in kind of a special way. The easiest way is using the matrix portal library, in which case it's actually really, really easy. So it doesn't just work with like board.display. You do need to use the library or else initialize the display yourself. But once you have done that, it should work with DisplayIO. Where are the pictures? Okay, that was interesting. Rock, paper, scissors, clue. Are we using Bluetooth in this? Does this use Bluetooth? RPS display, simple code. Blue. Rock, paper, scissors. Actually, there's a lot of code in here. I mean, a lot of folders, I should say. BLE. Oh, Bluetooth. Energy. Yeah, huh. BLE radio. Sure is. Interesting. What is it? Oh, okay, so it's like maybe two clues play against each other. Hey, that's really cool. I don't think I've ever seen this project. Okay, so the main thing we're looking for here is there any code that is in the page on Learn, but not embedded from GitHub? If it is embedded from GitHub, then we don't need to touch it because our PR is going to change the code in GitHub. Therefore, if it's embedded, then it will just come in automatically. If it is just directly in the Learn Guide page, though, then we'll need to update it since it's not coming through GitHub. Usually the place where you will find this is on the page that's like code walkthrough type page. If there's a page that explains all the different parts of the code, that's usually the page where you will find the usages that are not embedded. Like, see this code right here, this is not embedded from GitHub. There's no GitHub link down here. This code doesn't have any .show in it, so it doesn't matter for us, but it's an example of the kind of code that if it did have .show in it, we would need to change it here in the Learn Guide rather than the GitHub. So see here, this one I'm thinking is embedded, right? Yeah, because this is huge. Let me check the top. So we have, yeah, so download project bundle here, and then also the GitHub link at the bottom right. Right there, view on GitHub. That means this code is embedded from GitHub. If we update it inside GitHub, it is going to automatically get updated on this page without us doing anything else. And that is the only instance of show on this page. So that one is embedded, which means we do not need to change it. Let me try show without this. Cool. Yeah, no, definitely nothing else. Okay, advanced game. So far this one is a negatory on needing changes. And yep, no show in here at all. There's a couple just English words show, but those are not code. Yeah, none of this is DisplayIO. And this is embedded anyway. So this code down here, this part's not embedded from GitHub. See, no link here, but it doesn't have any show method in it, so doesn't need to be changed. Cool. And I believe that was the last page with, was it? Yeah, see, this page, do not publish. This one's like an internal one. That one's not a real page. Sometimes they just attach media or other stuff to it, so. Okay, rock, paper, scissors done. Servo barometer, display.show. Do we still have that copied? Yep, sure do. Could have done my find, no more. Okay, save that. Catch up over here as well, by the way. You type really fast? I feel like I type super fast. Let me catch up on the chats here as well. SAMD21 was being overcrowded for a while. Yeah, the SAMD21s are very cramped, especially the smallest ones, and super duper, especially the ones that are not the quote-unquote express, like M0 Express. That Express means it has extra storage. If you have an M0 that does not have Express, this is like Adafruit naming terminology as well. If your device has an Adafruit, this may not apply, but if you don't have that Express, then those are the tightest of the tight builds, like the Trinket M0 or the Gemma M0. WID, I'm not sure what that means over on YouTube. Sorry, I'm not up with all of the acronyms. I feel you wanting to fix everything you come across. Yeah. I now want to use an alpha build with the Matrix portal. Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely do try out the current stable build, 827 or whatever it is. I would do that if you haven't already. Are you using PyCharm as your editor? Yeah, definitely am. I use PyCharm as my primary editor for both CircuitPython and all kinds of other development. Asking about in keyboard. Yep, Kinesis. Kinesis Advantage. Is it Kinesis Advantage? The name of the keyboard. Yeah, I will say the official keyboard of the Men in Black, by the way. This is my keyboard basically. I don't know, apparently they made it so you can't just get the big picture. Where's that? Why is it there's no view picture in here either? That's weird. Anyway, that's my keyboard. Sounds mechy. It is Browns, I think. Cherry Browns. It's an alien for how fast you can type on the Ergo. Skill navigating UIs and words per minute. Man, you want to see, like, I'm telling you, I will say I've gotten quicker over time, but if you want to see somebody who I think is like genuinely super fast with both of those things, on Twitch, there's a streamer called the Primogen. I'll say fair warning, it's like kind of adult-based content with language and stuff like that, but if you're interested in kind of a person being funny but doing programming at the same time and typing really, really, really fast and going through stuff really fast, the Primogen on Twitch. I can't believe how fast he goes through stuff sometimes. Have IntelliJ Ultimate. Yep, same here. I've got the IntelliJ that lets me do a bunch of them, but PyCharm is the one I use by far the most. Oh, WID, that's probably what you're doing. What are you doing? If that's what you mean, and if you're still around, we're working on updating some Learn guides, some CircuitPython project codes. These are like all these projects that are in the Adafruit Learn guide system. We're working on updating the code for a new CircuitPython API that changed with, or that will change with version 9.0, which is not really an official version yet, but is the next version that will become one. Okay, server barometer, we changed this. Servo barometer. So some of these are a little tricky. It's hard to search sometime, like servo barometer. That's awfully generic. Are we gonna find the right thing? So it is in the clue projects. So the way that I can, excuse me, I got the hiccups now. The way that I tell usually is we want to find that GitHub link. We want to find basically the code. Wait, this might not be using CircuitPython. iLeap? Is this using CircuitPython? Well, CircuitPython on Clue, yeah, it must be. Okay, where's the project code? Here we go. Okay, we want this GitHub. So here you can click this, and then that will bring you to the URL right here. Yeah, Clue Servo Barometer. So that is the right project. Sometimes, though, you gotta double check, because sometimes, especially the more generic names like that, it could be, you know, who knows which project it could be. Sometimes there's multiple projects that have sort of similar things. Like, you know, there's certainly other projects with servos, potentially, and barometers separately. Who knows if there's one that's together. There is DisplayIO here. Let's check show right there. So that is in our embedded code, I feel, right? Yep, that's that. We do have two, though, so there's one more. Yep, down here, this is not embedded, therefore we do need to change it. Therefore, we are going to list it inside of here. So right now what I'm doing is just listing the ones that need to be changed in Learn. also. I don't trust myself to spell barometer correctly. I don't really trust myself to spell much of anything correctly. Probably any keyboard that has microcontroller in it with USB. Sorry. Let's see, what did I miss here? Which keyboard is programmable in CircuitPython? Yeah, Jeff Epler, one of the other core devs. He's on vacation right now, though. He has a keyboard that runs CircuitPython. I don't know the name of it. There's a project called... is it QMK? No, QMK, that's like the big keyboard. KMK? I think it's KMK. There's a project called KMK, I think, that is CircuitPython keyboards. I will say last time I looked into it, it was a little bit out of date, so I don't know if it works with like modern APIs and stuff. But if you are looking for a CircuitPython keyboard, this is one way to do it. There's a commit from 2 weeks ago, so maybe they're getting new stuff in there these days. Yeah, keyboard. If you're looking to make a keyboard, the Adafruit keyboard is the not AT Tiny, but the Adafruit Pro Tiny. I don't know if that's the right name. No, not Adafruit. Arduino Pro Tiny. Pro Micro. That's the name. Get there one of these days, right? Oh, well, there you go. There's a handful of keyboards right there. I didn't even know that. I don't know. Keyboard doesn't come up. I don't know. What's the other? There must be another name for that one. I don't know the other name for it off the top of my head. But that one is like the Pro Micro form factor, which there are loads and loads and loads of DIY keyboards that are based off the Pro Micro form factor. So if you get that device, then theoretically you can use like any number of DIY keyboards that are out there. All right. You have... oh, that wooden one's looking pretty sweet, just for reference. Model 100. Looks pretty nice. A tad tedious. You do a find in files. Yeah, I mean, I did a grep originally, which is how I got this list. It is a little tedious. We could probably automate it a little bit more than I have. But the truth is I don't necessarily trust it not to break anything. And I will say I'm stopping to talk and look at the chat and stuff, so I'm definitely going a lot slower than I could be. But I also appreciate the fact that we got lots of folks. Yeah, there you go, KB2040. Thank you, Paul. That's the right name. But I was saying, though, I like to stop and talk with the chat as well. I think that's kind of one of the funnest things about the deep dive, is hanging out with folks, answering questions, going back and forth. CPB AMS Gizmo. I don't know what AMS stands for. Is there any, can we get a hint as to like what this project is about so we know what we're searching for? I mean, I could try AMS, but Apple. Okay, it's Apple Media probably, right? Prints notifications, something like that. AMS Gizmo BLE. Apple Media Service. Yep. You got show right there, but that is embedded. And that is the only one. So there should be nothing in this one that needs to be changed. Double check this page too. Yep, good to go. Next up is ANCS. Let's see. ANCS. I don't know what that stands for. Is that Catleo? Yes. Oh, is this the two-factor things, maybe? This demo shows the latest icons from an Apple device. Okay, it's a different Apple thing. ANCS. CS. CS or SC? CS. Infinity mirror. Uh-oh, okay, so here's one where it's, oh, there we go. I think that's probably it, right? It's gotta be it. So this is one where we'll double check on it by finding the GitHub right here, GitHub. Yeah, CPB ANCS, yep, perfect. Okay, show. That's weird, why is there no show? I guess this one must, but I mean, I found the code right here. .109? There's no line numbers here. This code's different. These lines just aren't there. Oh, this says print code. But that file doesn't exist. I'm inside of code. Oh. Print code is in here. Weird. That is super duper bizarre that the embedding works. This part's working. It pulled the code from GitHub, but the link is wrong. How did that work? The internet is so crazy sometimes. Yeah, it's in the folder. This is the actual code we were just looking at on the page. But somehow, like, usually those two things are tied together too. Like, the code it embeds is at the link it links to. So for those two things to be different is not normal. We did not see any other shows, though. I think so. We've got nothing in here, I believe. Maybe let's check code with CircuitPython. That's our embed, right? Yep, right there. And that one is CodePy, and that one does not 404, right? Yeah, no problems there. Show, we have only one match, and that's it. Okay, yep, nothing else there. CircuitPython BLE thermal printer. See, here's one of the false positives. So if we try to write like a script to do this for us, it could get, you know, either it's got to have some really exact regex or some stuff like that going on, or it could get some false positives like this. Of course, we could make it manual still too, where it's like yes, no for each one, but author want to show simplified version of the code. Yeah, I think that's the case. It was, this one was doing just printing only. The page we were on before was like kind of a proof of concept of the project, which is how I do projects a lot as well. The first iteration will be like just print out the value of whatever it is, right? And then from there, I'll go and put it on the screen and do other stuff. So there's a print one. It just was something about the way it's linked, and the URL in GitHub is beyond my understanding. I don't want to break it though, so I'm not, I mean, I don't want to break it more than the 404. I don't want to break the embed, so I'm not going to mess with it. BLE thermal printer, so that one's just show. And that looks like actually the only, oops, now I messed up my, this thing like saves in memory. So yeah, that one's tricky because it's calling show, but show is just printing. So this one doesn't use DisplayIO. It's only printing, which by default, when you are on a device with a built-in display, it will initialize the display by default, and it will show you the serial console. So anything that you print will get put on the display, but it's not using DisplayIO in the same way that we need to worry about for our API updates. We're good there. DVI hello world, this one does. Why does show have print 24? My best guess is because they want to push off whatever was showing before. They want it to like scroll far enough down that you can't see the old message. That's my best guess. Realistically, though, that's weird. Probably should have just used a label, like a display text library label, and do a show, like actually set up the group in the display yourself rather than relying on the serial console. Then inside your label, you can put whatever text you want and just change the text out without having to do the print a bunch like that. Yeah, that's interesting. That didn't even really register with me the first time I saw it. It's kind of an odd one. I can't say for sure that's the intention, but that's my best guess, is to make it scroll so far. I'm a long time 4th Pascal, C, C++, Java, Kotlin hacker, showing my age, but Python I'm new to. So I'm with you on Java. Java is my oldest, longest language. I've actually just recently gotten into Kotlin. Within the last month or two, I've started trying to pick up Kotlin, so I'm kind of late to the Kotlin game, but I've been in the Java world for a very, very, very long time. I think I was thinking about it the other day, actually. I think my first Java program was more than 20 years ago, which is wild. And then Python, I would not consider myself new to Python anymore, but certainly newer than Java. Python, I would say I have closer to probably like 10 or not quite 10 years experience with, whereas Java, it's that 20 years of experience at this point. Long time in Java. It's bad form to just have the magic number. The 24? Yeah, I would agree. Like with the label, it would allow you to avoid that altogether. Yeah, it could be from the, it could be from the printer, but it doesn't look like it's actually printing that either. Like, it's using the Python function print to put it on the screen, but I don't think it's using the receipt printer, the thermal printer. In that code, at least, it didn't look like it, but I don't actually know how that thermal printer works, so I may not recognize the code anyway. Okay, DVI hello world. We got our one changed. Let's hit the learn guide. We probably will have something to change in this one, right? Because it's kind of a base device. DVI, would that be in here? DVI demo? Fingers crossed. Come on. Wow, this is long. There we go. Nice. DVI hello world. I'm usually not good at those. Not good at guessing these on the first try like that. Usually I have to go through a couple of learn guides. Okay, so show. What do we have for show? We have show that's embedded. There's only one on this page, so that's it. Anchor point, anchor position, all that. And this is the display. This is effectively the DisplayIO page as far as this guide's concerned, because digital I/O, analog, NeoPixels, CapTouch, I2C, storage, I2S, async, CPU, none of that stuff is involving the display. So yeah, I think we're actually probably good on this one. Clean up some tabs. I'm really bad about closing my tabs. Okay, so yeah, so far we have found very few that need to be changed in the Learn guide, which is nice. Display text. This guide I know because I actually wrote this guide. Catch up again over here. Wrote Java in 1997. Dang. Became quite the AI data processing language, Python. Yeah. A lot of us here are like that with various languages. Python, MicroPython, CircuitPython are wildly fun being able to interact with real world. Yeah, that's definitely the hook for me. Longtime programmer, but CircuitPython, like Arduino originally, but Arduino feels too much like work for me, which is ironic since I eventually got a part-time job at least working on CircuitPython. But CircuitPython, really the ability to iterate quickly and interact with the real world using programming was the hook that really sunk me into the world of CircuitPython. Just got one of those. Not sure what we were talking about when you said that, sorry. Christmas tree controller burned up a few years ago, redesigned it once, so it was too loud. What would be the best Wi-Fi compatible design using SSR, solid state relays? So I don't know anything about the electronics side of the house, so I can't really give you any kind of opinions or anything on relays or anything like that. As far as Wi-Fi microcontrollers, the Pico W is the cheapest one, so if you can get away with that, if whatever you're doing is basic enough, requires few enough pins, few enough CPU power, few enough RAM, then the Pico W is going to be hard to beat in terms of price for Wi-Fi capable microcontroller. If that one's not beefy enough, not powerful enough, so to speak, then your next kind of choice up is probably an Espressif ESP32S2 or S3. They've both got more RAM and higher CPU, I believe, than that Raspberry Pi Pico, but they don't have the PIOs and all the other stuff that the Pico has. So there's kind of the trade-off there. But yeah, I can point you a little bit on the microcontroller side, but I don't really know about the relays and the electronics connection and all of that stuff. WLED is popular for stuff like that. Let's see. This one we'll just go through each page because I think it's actually fairly likely there will be something in here, right? Whoa. Just bashed my mouse all the way off the ad here. Maybe not, actually. This one is a sub guide, so that's going to take me into this guide. I mean, we can double check that one. I mean, I guess it is my guide, and I do try on my guides, I try to embed all the code that I can instead of doing the code directly in the guide, just because I know that it requires this extra step when we're doing the updates. That's embedded. There we go. There's one to change. This one is not embedded. Has no GitHub link. It's an example of what not to do. So ironically, I guess having it broken is not the end of the world, but we will want to fix it. Okay, and that is the CircuitPython display text. WLED has mesh capability, so you can sync together multiple WLED controllers together for light shows. Aaron St. Blaine has phenomenal guide using Jellyfish. Tried, yeah, fried, not burned. Magic Smoke. Christmas tree controller burnt. Hopefully not near the tree. Yeah. Do the Espressif boards still run JavaScript? You might be thinking of Espruino. These are microcontrollers that run JavaScript kind of in the same way that our microcontrollers run CircuitPython, although I'm not entirely sure if it's actually doing the interpretation in the microcontroller. I don't know how this one works, but you write JavaScript code and it certainly seems to run on the microcontroller. I'm not sure the specifics of how it gets there, if it's compiled before it goes there or what. This one is microcontroller with JavaScript. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know of any Espressif ones that do or did, but I also don't know that much about Espressif, so I can't say for sure on that. You run JavaScript with MakeCode, perhaps that's what you're thinking. The puck would be cool to connect to my Stray. Oh, that's a good point about MakeCode too. I forgot about that. Lots and lots of the devices that support CircuitPython also support MakeCode. And MakeCode has 2 ways to edit your code. You can either do blockly, kind of like drag and drop colorful blocks, but you can also switch over to code, which is a JavaScript syntax as well, I believe. TypeScript, I think, more specific, but that is a way you can do it on lots and lots of microcontrollers, actually. Yeah, good point, DJ Devin. Thanks for mentioning that. Totally forgot about MakeCode. I mean, the other tie-in to JavaScript could be like, if you have a CircuitPython device with Wi-Fi, you can run an HTTP server on that CircuitPython device, and then you can connect to that server from other computers on the network. And the page that is rendered by that server into those client browsers, that page can have JavaScript on it as well. But I suspect that's probably not what you were talking about. Node MCU uses the ESP8266, Adafruit, Python Espruino Puck. Yeah, I had a couple of the Espruino Picos way back in the day, many years ago. I bought a couple of those. I think they were even from Kickstarter when I got them. And I did not end up doing too much with them. They were fun to play with, but I did eventually. The CircuitPython, the Python tie-in ended up being a better hook for me personally. JavaScript I've kind of learned some as well because I kind of have been forced to over the years, but I'd say Python I find more natural than JavaScript, definitely. There's a lot in this one. I think a lot of these, though, the actual code is not embedded in the guide. A lot of the stuff in the guide is just the pictures of how it looks. Like all the code that made all these different screenshots is actually all these different code files that we're changing here, but they're not embedded in the guide. It just shows what they look like. It doesn't actually have the embed. Some guy was doing some neat templating. Yep. With HTTP server, that's look really promising. Yeah. I still need to. I've been busy on Wednesday nights. I need to try to pop into show and tell one of these weeks. Yeah, hug report there to Michael Pocusa, also community member, has done a lot of work on the HTTP server library and the templating engine library to make that possible. Super neat stuff. If you're familiar with like Flask or Django, in CPython. There's now CircuitPython libraries that are similar in nature, obviously scaled down, right? It's not going to give you all of the features, obviously, of those things, but similar idea of allowing you to define endpoints and then the functions that go along with them for post and get and all that stuff. Set up your server. Wish the puck had a solid pinout. I'd order. No, excuse me. I wish the puck had a solid pinout. I sold solder to a board. Sold solder to a board? ESP32S3 HTTP server. Yep. Yeah, I think the HTTP server stuff has a lot of promise as far as like being able to make projects that you can interact with across the network. I think there's a lot of opportunity there for some really cool stuff. Web Workflow works the same way as well. Web Workflow hosts a server inside the device. Okay, so that was a lot of them in the display text. We did get them all. I'm going to close a bunch of these. We did put it in here because we need to do it. There's only one page. That's fine. Okay, let's hit this one. Display show. The others? Nope. Okay, that is Kaluga onion skin GIF. Kaluga? Bring images? One of these a picture of an onion? That's OV2640. That's probably not it. Kaluga, what was it? ESP32 camera. Let's try that. Maybe it was that. This? Webcam. So it is Jeff. Take a 10-frame stop motion GIF image. Sometimes you'll get lucky, there'll be a link to the Learn Guide in here as well. Doesn't look like it. So we know we're looking for a stop motion though. Probably of an onion, I guess. But it's an ESP32 camera stop motion. We have webcam, we have thermal cam, we have capturing images with CircuitPython. CircuitPython ESP32 camera. Okay, there we go. That's the right repo at least. This one is ILCD view. Wait, why did we do... Why was Clue and CPB and all these things above CircuitPython CI? I guess it's the capitals, probably. That's weird. Wrong one. Okay, so there's onion skin GIF, there's Adafruit.io, there's Adafruit, there's LCD view, there's QRIO REPL. And this one right here is ILCD view, which is this one. This is skipping DisplayIO. And by that I mean it's not using like group or bitmap or tile grid or anything. It is directly writing raw data to the bus to try to be faster, basically. This actually does look like it's doing bitmap, but it's kind of like skirting around DisplayIO. Ordinarily, DisplayIO in the core would be the thing that is sending data on the display bus. But in this code, it's actually just sending it from here directly to the bus instead of DisplayIO. Because it's not doing that with DisplayIO, it's not calling show, and it doesn't need to be updated for the new stuff. I don't know though, are we gonna find our Kaluga one? Because there is one in the thing that needs to be changed. Stop motion onion. Sometimes there's also like extra code that doesn't necessarily make it into the learn guide, so that could be the case as well. So I'll catch up on the chat here in a minute as well. I got it covered up for a second. Kaluga. So some of this stuff R's said, but it's not the exact same. This one is Kaluga ILI 94 whatever, 93 something something. Is this one? Is this stop motion? Stop motion? Anybody? No. Kaluga ST7789. Kaluga ILI 9341. For Kaluga onion skin GIF. I don't even know. What's that? Onion skin GIF. Pico. It's gonna be all Pico. That one's already updated, in fact, too. That's interesting. This might be newer stuff. Stop motion? No. Kaluga ILI 94 ULab. Whoa. ASCII camera, that's pretty cool. Simple test. I don't know if we actually use this onion thing. Display an image on the LCD. One's already updated for root group. SD Kaluga 13 webcam. This one doesn't appear to use the display. Whoops, it's Kaluga 13. I don't know. A lot of these have similar headers in the comments, but no, yeah, we're on to resources, so that's the whole camera guide. I'm thinking it just did not end up happening, did not end up being used. Let's do one more check on stop motion. So let me catch up on the chat. Flask and CircuitPython, similar to Flask. It's not using Flask, but it's a similar idea to Flask. Posted at ESP32 camera on the blog. Going stock, Flask and CircuitPython sounds promising. Yeah, it's real. I mean, it's a lot of fun. CircuitPython HTTP server. That's the library to search for. It's on GitHub. ESP camera is what I need to finish one of my sites. Search onion or Kaluga. We could try that. Capital sort before lowercase. We want ESP32 cam. Been doing electronics since I was 7. Wow, that's crazy. Not quite that young for me. I lived my little dabble into Lua. Just took the Node MCU as Lua. I would say I've dabbled in is all I've done as well is dabbling lightly in Lua. Use Lua a little bit for programming inside games, like Factorio has a way to write Lua code for it. I feel like there's one other game that I learned Lua to write code for too, but I can't think of what it was. Maybe WoW, way back in the day? I think that might have been it. Okay, yeah, I don't see any other stop motions. Let's try Onion. The thing is, I doubt Onion is the name of the guide. So there's Onion Pie for Tor, totally different thing there. Octoprint. Yeah. Unfortunately, if this thing is in a guide, my guess is the name of the guide is not about Onion. I'm thinking it would be in the camera one, honestly. It feels like just a thing that didn't end up getting used. That's kind of where my head's at on that one. So did Train Simulator. Ooh. Never did play Train Simulator, but I like resource management games, so I'm sure there are some train simulators that I would find fun. Okay, so I will consider that one a no. No need to change. Lots of the stuff had already been. In fact, you know what? I think it's very unlikely. That this one is used anywhere. And the reason why I think it's unlikely is because it all the other ones were already updated. All the ones that were actually used in the guide were already updated. So my guess is that somebody already went through and did all the ones that were in use. And then this one got left back because it's not actually used in the guide. That's my theory. Hypothesis, if you will. What did I do wrong? Okay, well, first of all, let's do... Spell CircuitPython wrong? What? Can it? I don't know. Oh, it doesn't, you can't just put the slash like that. You need tree main, apparently. Didn't we find this out a few weeks ago? Didn't I figure out if you search this? Yeah, I think maybe this works, right? We got no hits. Oops, we got no hits on that one. But I think that does, I feel like we found out a couple of weeks back when I first started this. That did work. So like this one, let's say. No, that one actually came up empty also, so that doesn't work. All right. Not sure what I searched, but I thought I figured out a way to search that last time when we did this. I'll have to go back and consult the VOD. That's one of the nice things about doing a bunch of work on live streams is I can go back and look at stuff if I forget it. Paul SK, how's it going, Paul SK? After the clock change here to wintertime, I miscalculated by an hour late. No worries, no worries. Pair programming still continuing. Yep. Okay, so we'll leave. I updated it, but yeah, I don't think it's used, so I don't think there will be a learn guide change. Flying toasters. What is that about? Flying toasters, huh? My copy is gone. Flying toasters. Continuously scrolling randomly generated after dark style toasters. I have no idea what they're talking about. Toasters. Does anybody know what that means? Okay. Apparently I had a better idea than I thought. I just couldn't quite visualize it. I was not expecting literal toasters flying. I mean, they're not literal, they're on a display, but you get the idea. Cool. Down with that. That's a cool project. That is here. Display show, root group, code, show. So this is a bunch of code that's not embedded. Actually, this is not Python. Yeah, that probably took longer than it should have, huh? Is this project not have Python? Wait, animated flying toaster OLED. Is there a new one? Huh. This is Arduino code. CircuitPython animated sprite. This has got to be the one. Continuously scrolling Mario. After dark style toasters. There is show, but this is embedded right there. Double check. Yeah, no, and so it does not have any. Doesn't have any code that we'll need to change, like in the guide rather than the repo. So we're good there. Game & Watch Octopus, that one's mine. I still did not actually copy this, did I? Should do another different Game & Watch game one of these days. I had a lot of fun working on this octopus, but I was ready to step away from the games for a minute afterwards. But I'd say I'm probably ready to circle back around. I could search through the rest of those Game & Watch games. They made a bunch of them. Could find the next one that catches my eye to implement. They have wings. How can they be flying? Oh, they have wings. That's how they can be. Yeah. 1980s screensaver. Is that where that comes from? Okay. Yeah, I was not familiar with the original, but my first the screensavers I remember were like the like Windows 95 era. There's like the curly lines. There's like the maze, the 3D maze pipes. I'm sure there's more that I would recognize if I saw them again, but those are the ones that actually come to mind from memory. But that era of like Windows 95 screensavers, those are the ones that are kind of like I grew up on. Game & Watch, that's 50-50 actually. I don't know if there will be. You'd think I would know, right? There probably is, honestly, because I usually do like code walkthrough, and then this page, no, doesn't look like it. Oh, you know what though? I think because I created helper objects, right? We encompassed a lot of the nuts and bolts inside some helper classes, which means you don't actually end up calling show yourself. That's right. Yeah, you just have some updates and some, we extended, I think, group. Get superpower. Wrapped text.show, please wait. What is that? Wrapped text. One might not be a display. Wrapped text display. Yeah, I don't. Oh, this class is right here. Max lines equals height divided by line spacing. Interesting. Wrapped text. But then it has scroll. Kind of cool. Never seen this helper class before. Get superpower. Get superpower. Coding. Show. So that's not the kind of show we're interested in. This is like a custom defined show. Yeah. None of this is actually for our stuff. In fact, root group right here is already updated to the new one. Player. Jeff's MP3 player project. Five results. Ooh, good thing I did a search. This is another one where you could use none right here, and I think technically it's better, but there's another one of our false flag ones, right? Not false flag, but like false positive is the term I was trying to come up with. Pixels.show. So this is a .show method that's on pixels rather than display, and the pixels one did not change. That would be like a neopixel object or .star, same thing, but same API, I should say. They're obviously different things. They have the same API. Playback display, what is that? Manage display during playback? Oh, okay, this is just like a helper, kind of like we had the octopus game class in the other one. Just kind of encompasses a bunch of stuff for you, so you don't have to micromanage it as much. Pretty cool. JE player, do we have anything that needs to be... This was embedded and already updated, actually. This code walkthrough. That's one of the other shows. That's like the custom show. Okay, yeah, so none of that stuff needs to change. Okay, JE player. JE player. Flying Toaster started them all. Need to do something generic for Game & Watch so that there's less time sensitive. Yeah. After Dark software. JE player. This is gonna be... JE player? Python JE player? I did big P. Personal MP3 tape player. That's not it. It's on a Pygamer, I think, this project. Let's try MP3. Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah. This is about loading CircuitPython. This does have show, but this is embedded. Yep. Those pixels show, display show. So all those are going to change when the code in GitHub changes. Okay. Oh, missed one still. And now we're down to just the 2 pixels show. Okay. Keypad calculator. This one's also got a custom defined show. We don't need to worry about. Keypad calculator. So we did have one change. Keypad calculator. Toasters. Why are there toasters? How else are you gonna get your toasted bread? All your changes they're doing they're compatible with 8.x2, so they could have been done before the alpha 9.x. Was that change forgotten? They could have been done anytime that anytime. I mean, it depends on what you mean by could have, I guess. Like, they could have been done anytime. It's kind of a matter of preference in terms of the support and, like, when we tell people to update. Technically speaking, in my mind, it could have been done anytime after .root group property was added in the core. And definitely anytime after that had been put into a stable release. They weren't forgotten about. I started them and mentioned it a while back and was told to wait until 9.0, and now 9.0 is coming around, so now is when they're getting done. So I don't think they were forgotten about. They just didn't want to do them until 9.0 was coming around, which 9.0, so root group was added a long time ago, but then with 9.0, that's when show was finally removed. So the plan was always to remove show, and the new version, the root group one, that was added a while back, and there was like some overlap where you could use either, but then 9.0 is where show finally gets removed. Line 72 is display.show. Was that in my IDE or in the, okay, yeah, I think I got it changed already. This one was, though. Yeah, it totally was. Thank you. Why is this also code? This is keypad calculator. Oh, I see, because there's code and design files. Is there an API that allows connection to remote smart devices? I'm not sure what you mean. There's Adafruit.io, which allows anything that's on the internet to communicate with Adafruit.io. And then, like, you can have other stuff also communicate to Adafruit.io, and you can use MQTT to, like, send signals down to your microcontroller. So, you know, you could set it up where, like, maybe you have a motion sensor, and whenever it senses motion, it, like, sends a message to Adafruit.io, and then Adafruit.io turns around and sends an MQTT message to, you know, whatever controllers are listening for those. If that's the kind of thing you're talking about, then yes, that's possible. Adafruit.io is one of the servers that allows you to do that kind of stuff. There are many, many others, you know, up to and including you could obviously make custom server that does that same kind of thing. This is not a calculator, is it? This is DIY keyboard, a mechanical keyboard. This is not a calculator, though. Keypad, here we go. This must be it, right? Numpad 4000. So here we'll check the GitHub. Nope, that says Numpad 4000, so that has a sort of proper noun for its name. It's not just keypad calculator. I wonder if there could have been like an older one or something. I don't think I have anything installed that lets me see STL files right now. Why? Actually, I have Ultimaker Kira. I don't know if it will launch. Okay, that's definitely not the project we were looking at. That's definitely not this. This is a calculator, but this one I guess is more, looks bigger and more fancy and stuff. So where is our keypad calculator? Keyboard buttons, Circuit Python. Keypad scanning matrix. Okay, maybe we search calculator. Calculator. Let me catch up on the chat here. Oh boy, that seems like trouble. Not sure which part seems like trouble. That sounds right, but I don't want to pay. Adafruit.io there's free tier on Adafruit.io. You wish it could be self-hosted. It totally can be self-hosted. You can make your own sort of stuff. Wow, Tim, you have a lot of stamina. I don't know. Do a lot of coding, I guess. There's free entry with limited number of things. Yep, Adafruit.io, it's got a free tier. And I mean, if you're into it, if you have the capabilities of writing like Python code for backend, like you could totally make your own server backend. Self-hosted on a server you maintain on the internet is a secure way. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah, if you want to self-host it on your own local network, that's probably free as long as you have a computer and a network already. If you want to host it on the internet where it's like visible to the internet, you want to keep it secure and all that stuff, you're probably gonna end up paying to at the very least like a cloud provider to rent a VM or whatever, DigitalOcean, something like that. Python for Enders. Master, you could host a private one, I believe. Azure, yeah, AWS, Google. You could use MQTT and host a server at home. Caffeine is my shepherd. I shall stay awake. Yeah, same here. Working on the old iced coffee this evening. So here's another. Oh, that's it, right? That's the thing we just saw. The top of it. Okay, I was expecting the whole thing, but that's actually it. The top half right there. See that? The little, this part gives it away. Nice. Okay. Probably next page was CircuitPython code. So there is show, but this looks like embedded, right? It is one of 4. Yeah, that's totally embedded. Keypad calculator, yeah. Okay, and then custom show, and that's the other 3 are just custom shows. Okay, so we don't mention show anywhere else. Good to go there. I can't believe we only found 1 with, or no, we found 2, didn't we? I can't believe we only found 2 today that need learn guide changes. Knob sketcher? What does that even mean? Knob sketcher? Is that about shoes or about drawing potentiometer toppers? Knob sketcher? See a Prusa guy. Just because of the Ultimaker thing here? I don't actually have any Prusa printers. I would say, if anything, as far as a printer person, I am a Lulzbot person, but Lulzbot, I don't know to what extent they're still around, but I got a Lulzbot Mini that I used for many, many years. Lulzbot Mini, the small one, not Manny, that I used for many, many years. I have a Lulzbot Mini 2, which I haven't used as much. And then I actually also have a Taz as well. Taz, I think it's 6, one of the bigger ones. I don't do a whole lot of 3D printing, though. I kind of go on and off with 3D printing. I'll get in a phase where I'm like really into designing 3D stuff and printing it out, and then I'll kind of have a lull for a while where I don't really touch it too much. Knob sketcher. Oh, okay, I see. It's like kind of an Etch-a-Sketch type thing going on. I made an Etch-a-Sketch once. Speaking of things that I 3D printed and designed, I 3D printed and designed the case photos built around a PyPortal. Okay. Yep, already I see one right here. So this page has... No, hold on, because that's the wrong kind of show. So this is RGB display. This is an older kind of... Well, it's not even RGB actually, but... This is not DisplayIO. That's the important part. This show is not DisplayIO.show. This is a different kind of show. This one does, though. Feather Sketcher. So is there a Feather Sketcher? Bigger? Not a feather. Still SSD 1306. Yeah, and it's still not DisplayIO. See, DisplayIO doesn't have fill like this, so I know this isn't DisplayIO. Can you sketch? This one almost seems like older. Well, it's still CircuitPython, but it's older than DisplayIO. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, there we go. Feather M4. Nice. Okay, so we got one, but that's embedded. That'll update itself. And that's our only match on this page. Okay. Cool. Yeah, none of the rest of the pages look like code stuff. Okay. I have a Prusa Mini, but I'm not using it much. I don't feel the need for it often. Yeah. It's also just like, I'm almost like too ADD for 3D printing, even. Like, microcontrollers are nice because I can grab a microcontroller and like tweak the code that's on it and run it, and like the whole thing could take 45 seconds and I can see the output of my work right away. Whereas 3D printing, like especially if your printer is at all finicky, you got to spend time setting it up and calibrating and getting the bed straight. And like, you know, you go to print and then it like messes up on the first layer, so you got to start over and do it again. And like, it's really novel, really fun stuff you can do, but I do find sometimes I don't tend to do it for that reason. Like, programming and microcontrollers are just more sort of fast food-ish. They're just quicker and easier for me to do something and see the output right away. And I'm definitely a bit of a sucker for that. But 3D printing is really fun as well. I will say the ability to like dream up a 3D thing, design it in CAD, and then print it out and hold it, you know, all in the course of an afternoon or whatever, that is like also a very magical experience too. EcoCat. This is another one that was mine. Ender 3 V2. But I'm terrible at CAD. Question, would it be faster to search for display? You're correct, it can be a bit tedious, yeah. Yeah, the lull spots were my favorite just because it had the least amount of that kind of stuff as far as like my experience went, but it was still more than can keep my attention sometimes. I only print things if that are utilitarian, never printed a figurine or anything. Find things to print that's helpful, or I do not print things just to print. Yeah, I think being productive while you're sleeping is kind of amazing. I've not done the run it while you're sleeping very much. I think I did maybe 1 or 2 prints while I was sleeping. That's about it over the years. Right now it's probably too close to my bedroom. Honestly, I haven't actually tried it, but I bet we could hear it if we were trying to sleep, and I bet it would bother me. Okay, Nico Cat. This one maybe will. To the question also earlier, would it be faster to search DisplayIO? I think somebody asked. It might be. I mean, what I have done here, this list that I'm working from is a git grep on .show. So that's going to find me all the ones that I need to change plus a few, false positives like the pixel show and the custom show functions and stuff. But mostly it will be all the ones we need. And I was saying before a little bit, like there's probably some way that this could be at least partially automated to where it would end up, maybe not taking as much manual hands on the keyboard time. But I don't necessarily trust it that much. And I will say I'm also sometimes guilty of like rushing to write an automation script and then spending more time than I would have just brute forcing it. I don't know if that would be the case this time, but I don't want to. The other thing is I don't want to do the automated way of changing the code and have it like accidentally change NeoPixel code or something that wasn't supposed to be changed and then have it get broken as well. So trying to kind of keep an eye as I go and make sure we're only touching DisplayIO and stuff. We probably, with enough regex, with enough regex voodoo, we could probably still make it work automatically, but I don't know, kind of enjoying going through them and doing them like this. Truthfully, it's not a, I wouldn't want to do this all day, every day, forever and ever, but knowing that we'll get to the end of the list and then we'll be done and then I'll do something else, like I'm fine just going through them like this. If I design 3D stuff, I could see it being more useful to have a 3D printer. I design code, I guess, I redesign it over and over. Yeah, to be honest with you, OpenSCAD is a 3D modeling program that's based kind of on programming. Like instead of WYSIWYG, it's a code editor that you're coding 3D shapes. That was actually the thing that got me into 3D designing, was because that OpenSCAD tool is very natural if you are already a programmer, if you're already used to using code to create stuff. That kind of lets you bridge the gap into 3D, which is really cool. Then you have regex and you have a new problem. Yeah, at least one. Let's be real. You probably got a few problems once you start bringing regex into the mix, especially me. Like, you're bringing my regex into the mix, you're probably going to be having at least a few problems, let's say, generously. What is OLED? OLED is an SSD. Is this I don't know if this is this DisplayIO? Yeah, it must be, because it's watch group, right? And that's a group. Yeah, okay, so this must be. Regex is, regex is one of the things I'm not good at all. In fact, I wouldn't even say I really know any regex. Anytime I need to use regex for anything, I'm always searching online for, there's some really cool regex websites that let you live type in your pattern and also type in some sample text, and it will like highlight what's matching and everything, and it will explain what all. I can't do regex without that. Basically, I need that. I need those training wheels. Okay, save this. OLED watch. OLED watch. That is embedded. We do have 5 matches though, so here we go. Yeah, so we'll definitely have some show. We'll definitely have some code to change here. And that is circuit Python OLED watch. RGB matrix fruit. RGB matrix life. I think that's Conway's game of life. Whoops. RP2040. Scroller. Simple scroller. Okay. Oh, one more, tiled. Tiled? Like the game? App? No. Tile grids, basically. Okay. So this was all RGB matrix. Test-driven development for regular expressions. Yeah, there you go. That's basically what those websites are. As helpers. Yeah, I really like those helper sites. I would be completely lost without them. It's not very frequently that I need to do anything with regex, but when I do, got nothing without those. This is not the right one. So this is like RGB matrix life. So we want it's got Conway's Game of Life. It's got the fruits. This is Arduino. That's Matrix Portal. RGB Matrix. Connecting, that's Raspberry Pi. LED Matrix. Bitmap art and animation. Where's like... Huh. RGB matrices, this is it, I think. Yeah, 2040. This is the Pico page. Or folder, I mean. Yep, or RP2040, that was the name of the folder. This is embedded, so this one does actually need to change. And that's one of one. There's a lot of examples. I guess let's just next through them. Is there a next button at the top? No, it doesn't look like it. I guess if you're following along, you can do it here. I don't want to have to know where we're at in that, though. This is all wiring. A bunch of these are just wiring, right? All of these are just wiring. Dinner Bell, thanks for the stream. Yep, thanks for hanging out, Retired Wizard. Thanks again for all your help on the libraries as well. CircuitPython has exceptionally fast iteration cycle versus compiler. 3D printing prototypes is similar in fashion where you print something, you figure out figure there's a little off here or there in the redesign and reprint. Can I never get a 3D print design perfectly on your first try? Yeah, that's definitely my experience. I usually already know, like I've usually already made a new revision by the time the print of the original one is finished. Like I usually see something in the first half of the print and I'm like, oh, I should change that before the plastic is even cooled. I'm already changing the file. Combining CircuitPython electronics and 3D printed project. You're rocking back and forth between Fusion, Cura, PyCharm. It's a dance, yeah. Yeah, kind of the perfect storm. They kind of all come together. You're not using them directly together, but they all come together to make something magical. REPL's your friend when it comes to fast iteration. Play around, find out real quickly. Yeah, you know what's cool that was mentioned the other day during the meeting is repl.py. I want to play with one of these days. I also did not know that got implemented, and I am actually pretty excited to play with that. Like Foamy Guy's Etch-a-Sketch, you don't get the electronics project, your friendly usable state without just the right enclosure. Yeah. 14 to 16 hour prints here, but I usually turn insane fine mode on. Oh dang. Yeah, so you're going like 0.1 or less on the layer height. I'm usually the opposite. I'm usually like trying to push my layer height as tall as I can to minimize how long it takes to print. I'm usually wanting it to print as fast as it can without regard to the thick lines or anything. But I would say I'm also more so on the side of what DJ Devin said earlier. Like most of the things that I print are utilitarian in nature. Like it's a widget with a shape that I want to use for something. Not necessarily like a display thing or an artwork thing or anything where it's needs to look super nice. Okay, so that one has one, but it's embedded, so we don't need to worry about that. We're just gonna kind of scroll through the whole list here. That one's got one, but it's embedded. I'm imagining this is what we find on all these pages, probably. It's probably the same thing. Yep, here's Conway's. Yep, multiple panels. Whoa, did that say CircuitPython 6.2.0? It's probably about time we could lose that warning. Throw that in the CircuitPython dev channel, see if anyone has ideas or opinions on that one, keeping that or not. What is repl.py? Repl.py allows you to, so I haven't actually used it yet, but it allows you to put code into a file that will get executed in the context of your REPL. So you could, for instance, here, let's play with it. We got a few minutes left. And while I did say earlier I was fine doing all this manually, I'm definitely ready to do something a little different. So this will be nice to play with for a few minutes. So I'm going to plug in a device. I don't have the camera set up today, so you won't be able to see what I'm doing, like visually, my device, but I'll show you the REPL and everything. But basically it allows some code to run and then stick around in the context of your REPL. So you can like create a variable, for instance, inside of a file, Python code file, but then in your REPL instance that can still exist, that variable. That's my understanding of it, and I could be wrong, by the way, because I haven't actually used it. So we'll see. We will learn together right here, but that's what I think it does. So recently switched to a 0.8 nozzle with combing and ironing off. You can do faster prototypes, which is really what I wanted the 3D printer for, using a 0.4 nozzle. I think that's what mine was, 0.4 on the lull spot, with a 0.1 layer heights, really for fine detail work. Since I mostly do enclosures, I rarely need detail. Yeah, I've done lots of boxes and stuff as well. What is repl.py? Cut the printing time in half with a 0.8 nozzle. CircuitPython 9.0.0 Alpha 2. It's a file that automatically executes. Yeah, only available 9.0, the newest one even. I think you need like the brand newest one. I'm not positive which version though, I could be wrong. Now for something completely different. Yeah, there's the ADD popping out a little bit. Let me save this. Did we make it to the end? Did we make it to the end of that learn guide? I don't want to stop like right in the middle. Let me stroll through the rest of these pages. I don't think we'll find anything. But let me just stroll through the rest of these real fast to make sure, and then I'll do this. And then we'll probably wrap it up after that. And for those that don't know, I'll be back tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. I'll be back streaming again. It'll be over on my own channel, not here on Adafruit, but I will pop in the Discord, the same Discord that we're all hanging out in right now. I'll drop links in there when I'm getting ready. So if you want to watch some more CircuitPython stuff tomorrow morning, I will be back here. Okay, yeah, we did make it through all this, and we're good to go there. Let me update my notes so I know where I stopped. The last one I did was RGB matrix. Right there, and there are no changes needed for that because everything was embedded. I'm going to save that. I'm going to commit. "29 files we did. Okay, I have a Feather TFT plugged in. Did I download the CircuitPython for that? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to go to bootloader. Where is repl.py? So you create it and you save it on your CircuitPy drive. Kind of like bootpy, essentially. It's and CodePy also, I guess. I loaded up my 9 boards with it too, so at least I can do import REPL. Oh, import REPL. Oh, you could do that before it's supported. Yeah, I've done stuff like that as well. I always did like l.py. I always made it one letter, so it was only one thing. REPL is if you create it and put it at the root. Yeah. Okay, so we installed that. So like this would be good if you were doing a project with an external display. Let's say you were doing a project where you had a display connected via a SPI bus or something like that, and it was an external display, not a built-in one. You could, and let's say, you know, you're still kind of in the beginning stages of your project. You're not ready to like commit to a code.py file yet, potentially. What you could do is put your display setup inside repl.py, and then when you're in the REPL, you could be using your display and you could be quickly iterating without having to like re-paste in all of the display setup. What is that? I guess that's a fan. I don't know. Hearing a weird sound. Okay, so we will create, let me connect TO. We will create repl.py. It probably doesn't matter if it's uppercase or not, does it? So let's try import board, let's try display equals board dot display, and let's try also val equals just like 83. Save that. Not look like I'm on the device, right? Maybe it's on a different ACM. Yeah, it's on ACM 1 for some reason. Whoops. Okay, I don't know, does it take effect oops. Does it take effect automatically? Oh. Oh. Does anybody recognize this? M105. Anybody got a guess? This is like super common support problem with CircuitPython actually. And I just walked right into it. Cura. This program is actually trying to connect via USB to whatever's plugged in, and it's actually sending G-code. But obviously our device is a CircuitPython microcontroller, not like a, not a CAD running system, so it doesn't actually do anything. repl.py does not run in safe mode, no safe mode loop by accident. Oh, that's good to know. Can kind of wreck yourself if you get a little too crazy with it. So does this just exist? Yeah, so there we go. So I put inside repl.py, I put val equals 83, which means val just exists here. I don't have to define it. I can just use it. Same thing with display. So I could do something like display.show, and then I could make, well, let's do none. Let's take my own advice from earlier. Except for, obviously, I can't do show, because the whole point of all the changes that we just got done making was that show's gone. Apparently I'm having trouble adjusting to that a little bit. There we go. Yeah. So now I can use val and I can use display without actually writing anything about them in the REPL, which this is super cool because you can kind of iterate by adding like, 1 or 2 lines at a time to this, and then give it another Control D, Control C, and then like display dot whatever, do your stuff, and then kind of like keep adding to your thing without needing to kind of copy paste a bunch of this setup code and stuff. I'd never have figured that out, Kira. Yeah, I had a head start. I've helped people who have had that problem before, and we've run into that problem personally before. Back at the old office, I had that one. Yeah, that's a good tip though. Yeah, if you're ever having weird stuff with your USB device, if you have any 3D printing software running, make sure to close that, because it really likes to find those printers automatically and start sending stuff. The M105 is also a bit of a giveaway. If you are at all familiar with G-code, you'll recognize some of these common commands, I guess, or whatever they call them. I don't know what they call them, but it's like letter and then number for a lot of them. I think a lot of them are M as well. There's a way to fix that, which I haven't done so far. Happens to me, but I haven't run into it. I guess I could Google it, but how does safe mode work? Safe mode, it just, well, I preface this with I have no idea how it interacts with repl.py. Somebody just mentioned in the chat before that it doesn't necessarily, so you got to be extra careful with that. But so setting aside repl.py, I can't speak to that with safe mode at all, but safe mode more generally, what it means is that your device, when it powers on, when it's in safe mode, it will not execute your code.py. The idea being, if you ever put any code in your code.py that causes a hard fault, then what will happen is when that device hard faults, it will reboot into safe mode. When it's in safe mode, it will not execute CodePy, which means that it won't just get itself in, stuck in a loop of booting up, running CodePy, hard faulting, restarting, booting up, running CodePy, hard faulting. Like that would be an infinite loop. Safe mode allows you to break out of that infinite loop because it makes it so that CodePy does not run. So when it boots up, you're basically just set right at the REPL. It's waiting for you to go in and connect via serial and do some different stuff. I just turn off the plugin on my main workstation, use Octoprint or SD card. I'm often working in both places at once. Yeah, Octoprint's pretty nice. If you do a lot of printing, being able to have that dedicated little Pi or whatever server to run that thing for you is super nice. I see that there's an output notification, so you can print stuff in repl.py and it should show. That's a good question. I don't know about. I would assume yes. That's a good question, actually. Let's do val plus whatever. Does that print? I would assume yes, but yep, there it is. So much more. Yeah, importing, that's another really cool thing, just being able to import any libraries. If you wanted to use display text or something, being able to import that here and not having to write it. Or like, there's a lot of times where I want to do something with OS, so like being able to import that there, and just once you get to here, just being able to be like os dot whatever, make dir or remove file or whatever. Yeah, REPL goes repl.py executes automatic, and then if you're asking about safe mode is also automatic. If it hard faults, you go into safe mode. You can also manually get to safe mode if you press reset with the right cadence, but I'm not very good at it, and I don't know what the right cadence is. Yeah, Wi-Fi, that's another really good point if you're doing Wi-Fi stuff. The repl.py, it's just really good if you're trying to... Oops, I accidentally just wrecked the Discord there, didn't I? If you're trying to iterate quickly using the repl, and you have stuff that you need to set up that you don't want to copy paste over and over again. Yeah, you can do import code. You can do, and it's but the difference though, David, is that with import code, you don't get to just keep your variables and stuff. So if your code like sets up a display or whatever, then you can't go on and use that display in the repl afterwards, I don't think. Whereas repl, you can do all your setup, and then you get, like, basically your repl spawns right here. Your repl spawns in this context with all this stuff still existing. Whereas CodePy, it doesn't. CodePy, you import it, it executes, and then I don't think you get all that stuff. Maybe I'm wrong, though. That doesn't sound right. It seems like you would get that stuff, right? Maybe I might be wrong with all of that. Maybe you do get to keep all those variables. I'm not sure. I'm definitely second guessing myself, though. So, yeah. Take that one with a grain of salt. This is 9x only. repl.py is 9x only. It's brand new. Yeah. I don't know which version it was introduced in, so I don't know exactly which one is the first one, but it's pretty new. You could do from repl import star. Oh, there you go. That's the way you could do it. Yeah, yeah. That would get you all the variables from star, yeah. Okay. I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all did. Like we mentioned at the top, I will be back next week. That's the plan. So I'll be here for next week on Deep Dive. Same time, same place. That's, well, it's 4 p.m. Central Time on Friday. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's 2 p.m. Pacific Time. It's roughly 2 hours ago. That's when we started. So I'll be back at that time next week. If anybody's going to be around tomorrow and is finding yourself wanting some more CircuitPython action, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Time, over on my own channel. I think we'll be working on some circup stuff tomorrow, so I'll set down this DisplayIO stuff, and I think we'll work on some circup things. If you're interested in that, come and hang out tomorrow morning with me. Otherwise, I will say have a good night, everybody. I hope you all, have a nice evening, have a good weekend, and all that stuff. I'll catch you all later. Thanks for hanging out, and that's all for now. See ya.